Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So we are streaming right now on my Facebook page, Balance CFO. We are streaming in my Facebook group, Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners. And we are also streaming live on my YouTube channel for Jamie Trill. So wherever you are watching me from, hello, happy Wednesday. Today is, let's see if I know what day it is. Today, I think I wrote it up top. I think it's June 24th, right? June 24th. So I think we had the reminder in the group to set up for yesterday. So sorry to those of you guys who showed up at 10 a.m. Central Time yesterday to listen to me. I was not there. My typical time that I'm here, for those of you guys who have been around for a while, is 10 a.m. on Wednesday, which I think today is, but I'm still not entirely sure sometimes what the heck day it is anymore. Hope y'all are doing well. Hope everybody's good. I see somebody joining in. Okay, I see some people joining. So tell me you're here. Say hi so that I know that you can hear me and that you can see me. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to give a couple of updates at the beginning. And then we're going to I want to talk about some FAQs that I have been getting on both PPP and EIDL, because some of the same questions are coming through the group. So I want to just go ahead and address some of those questions up front here in a minute. And then I'm going to take your questions, okay? Because I know we're still in that spot where things aren't changing maybe quite as rapidly as they were at one time, but there still are some important changes happening, and people are trying to figure out what to do and how to get the most out of these stimulus funds. So we're going to talk about it here in a little bit. Okay, so while y'all are joining, I wanted to give you guys a couple of important updates. So most of you probably know at this point, you've probably seen me talk about it. You've seen it in your email. I am selling my Financial Fitness Basics course, which is an online course to help teach you how to understand the basics of your finances. Okay, we're not going to talk this whole time about it, I promise. I just want to give you guys a couple of updates because today is the last day to get the discount. It's $100 off today, and it's the last day to get some of these amazing bonuses. So you want to buy today if you're thinking about buying. You can do it all in your own time. You don't have to. There are not specific times. I get that question a lot. If there's specific times that this is going to be taught, it is a recorded course. So you can watch it on your own time. You can wait if you don't have time right now. Totally fine. I know how that goes, right? It's summer, things are crazy. So you can wait and watch it later. You can watch it multiple times. We do have a couple of live elements to it that are bonuses right now. We do have a live workshop with Courtney Boudet, who's my QuickBooks Online expert. And so that's going to be live. That's going to be in mid-July. I will announce that later. And the bonus I just added yesterday, because a lot of people were asking for this, is we're going to do a group Q&A with me. So only people that buy this course, we're going to talk about the basics of finance, accounting, and taxes, and you're going to be able to ask me all your questions. So both of those things will be live, but they will be recorded if you can't make it. We will let you know the dates and times when we have them. But that's important to note. So if you're wondering, hopefully you've seen what this is all about, but basically the basics course is if you're a person that has said, I want to get better control of my finances, I want to understand my business finances better, but I don't know where to start. There's so much information out there, right? Like, what are you going to do? You're not going to go back to school and get an accounting degree. That sounds silly, right? But you want to know what you need to know. And this applies also. I've gotten questions from a lot of self-employed people and independent contractors saying, would this apply to me? 100%, you guys. 100%, because you, from a tax perspective, are self-employed, and there are certain things that you need to be doing with your business finances that are critical to your success as any self-employed person, independent contractor, sole proprietor. But this course is also good for those of you who have small businesses, right? And maybe you've been in business for, maybe it's new, or you've been in business for a little while, but you've realized through all of this craziness going on that you want to get a better handle on your finances. So I've heard that so many times where they've realized they didn't know what they didn't know until they started applying for all these government loan programs, et cetera. And this is going to keep going for a little while, you guys. If you've gotten money from any of these, then it is even more important for you to really understand what's going on with your finances, because what if you get audited, or what do you need to have to make sure that you're kind of protected? So anyway, I wanted to update you on that and tell you today's literally the last day. Tonight at midnight, 11:59 p.m.-ish, depending on how late I stay awake, we're going to close the discount. We're actually going to close the doors entirely to the program. It will reopen, but it'll reopen later at the higher price. Okay. So if you want it, if you're thinking about it, if you ever want to get it, this is the time to get it. This is like the COVID-19 special, because I know a lot of you guys are in that spot where spending a ton of money doesn't make sense. So I've made this ridiculously cheap, honestly, like for what, and I keep throwing more stuff into it. I can't help myself. I literally cannot help myself. I keep adding additional like guides and things I think that will be helpful for you. So I need to calm down and take a step back. Because even yesterday I was finishing recording and I added a new guide that I thought would be helpful for you guys. So I'm going to stop. I need to stop. This is what I do. I only sell things a couple of times a year, so I don't inundate. I'm not like a salesy person. You guys know I've been here for months showing up, just giving you free information. I'm going to continue to do that as best I can. That's really important to me to be able to do, but I do have things to sell. So that's what helps support my business, helps allow me to show up here for you guys. All right. Couple of things. Thank you. You're so sweet, Christina. I'm just looking at your comments. I can't get it over here. Okay. Here we go. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate it. I just really I love being able to be here for you guys during this time. I know it's been a crazy time. And I'm going to continue to do that. But this helps to fund my business such that I'm actually making some money so that I can do that. And also helps that my husband doesn't complain as much. Now he feels a little bit better. I think after like 3 months of working for free, I think he feels a little bit better to have some money in the bank account. But a couple of things also. My Women of Color scholarships, you guys are amazing. Can I just say, this is the most amazing group of entrepreneurs, mostly women, but we have some amazing guys in here too. And there's Mark. Here's one of our amazing guys who's here, who bought the program as well. But you guys supported. All right. So I had talked to you about the Women of Color scholarships I wanted to give to this program. So I was going to do 5. Then we had 41 applicants. And so I upped it to 10. So I gave away 10 myself. And you guys funded the rest, almost to the penny. Like, I'm not kidding you, almost to the penny. We funded all 41. Like, I can't even tell you how good it felt. Yesterday and the day before, I was sending out emails to tell people that they got the scholarship, and there's so much excitement around it. Like, thank you. Because people are thanking me, but so many of you guys had to do with this. So many of you guys gave money. Some of you sponsored a full scholarship. Some of you sponsored multiple scholarships. Some of you gave what you could, which was amazing. And we added it all up to be able to give all 41 of the applicants scholarships. We had 41 Women of Color scholarships. Really quickly here, I want to acknowledge the people who gave. And I hope that I don't miss anybody. I really, really hope I don't miss anybody. But we had Carrie, 2 Carries. Carrie with an I, Carrie with an R-I-E. Jackie, Christina, Jennifer, Danielle, Renee, Kelly, Marcia, Suzanne, Bree, Ashley, Sarah, Jennifer, Kira, Richitina, G, Ray Ann, Jamie, London, Carrie, Tiffany, Annette, Notiform. I think that's the company, Notiform. Some of these I just have your company names because that's all that I could see. Lorique. Creative Kids Photography, Kristen, David, Anna, Pure Ambition, Angela, Brittany, Claudia, Get Your Best Resume, Rachel, Janice, Wagging Tails, Shannon, Deidre, Jackie, Mary Ellen, Roger, and Jessica. Thank you guys. Like, the outpouring of support has been incredible. And I have to tell you guys something else. Not only did we fund all of these scholarships from you guys, we also met this morning. Like, we still have a whole day, y'all. This morning, we hit our goal for sales for the program. And that is something that, like, it just lit me on fire to see basically waking up within an hour of waking up, I had hit that goal. And I say we because it's myself and it's my virtual assistant, Sarah, who's amazing. She's like the woman behind the woman. I have to give her a shout out because she's been working her butt off too. So I just want to say thank you guys. Now, of course, though, that doesn't mean we're stopping. So what we're going to do is, y'all know, if you've been around here for a little while, you know I love goals and I love big goals. And when you hit a goal, what do? Well, you increase it. So we've set a stretch goal for the program today. Y'all, let me check. Let me see. I'm going to tell you the exact number I need so that you guys know if you're thinking about it, if you're still kind of on the fence and you're wondering, if you're thinking about it. Okay, so I need 122 of you. Just 122 of you to meet our new stretch goal for this program. Again, this helps fund my business. This helps fund me showing up for you. And the program is going to be awesome. And it is the least expensive thing that I sell. So if you kind of want to see what I have, if you're like, hey, her free stuff's really good. Like, what the heck is her paid stuff like? Come check it out, y'all. I think you're going to like it. Okay. It is the least expensive. And especially with this discount that expires tonight, you want to get in. Okay. I'm done. I promise. I am going to move on. We're going to talk about the things that you're here for because there's a bunch of you here today. Okay. So what do you want to talk about, y'all? Ask me your questions. I'm going to address, while I'm waiting for your questions, I'm going to address a couple of things that I continue to see a lot coming through the group. And I swear one of those things that keeps coming through is for those of you who are on PUA, PUA, whatever you want to call it, right? Your unemployment for self-employed, and you are either considering or you have a PPP loan and you're trying to figure out what to do. Or maybe you have EIDL in there too. Some people have all the trifecta, right? The trifecta of government funding right now. And they're trying to figure out like, what the heck do I do? And that's probably like that sort of question is probably 1 out of every 3 questions that's being submitted right now. So here's what I want to tell you on that. Firstly, I have to caveat, right? Got a caveat. Not construed as definitely not legal advice, but not tax advice either. This is me telling you what I think based on kind of what I know, but there's a lot of things out there that have not been said with these programs. So there's only so much guidance out there. The rest we have to fill in the blanks. And different CPAs, different business lawyers are probably going to say different things. So a lot of you guys are seeing that, right? You're like, well, my CPA said one thing, and then I watched this YouTube video, and then you said something different. That's kind of the world we're living in right now, where there is a lot of just a lot of different answers swirling around. So let's talk about those 3 things that you might have gotten and what you should do, how you can optimize the situation. Okay. So if you are in a situation where you have PUA, you're taking unemployment right now, and through the end of July, you're going to get that extra $600 of federal pandemic unemployment compensation, FPUC. Okay. That runs out right now at the end of July. I don't know. We'll see if anything gets extended on that. It could, but there's also a good chance they just let it run out. If that's the case, it can make sense. So a lot of people are questioning, okay, I got this, especially if you're self-employed, you don't have any employees, right? And even if you have employees, I guess this applies similarly, right? You, as an owner, under the new PPP flexibility rules, let's say you want to take the 24 weeks to maximize the amount of time you have to spend the money and to maximize what you can pay yourself. Because as an owner, you can pay yourself now, if you take the 24-week option, 2.5 months worth of 2019 compensation. Okay. So that's what you can take. So if you're Schedule C, go to your Schedule C, line 31, divide by 12 times 2.5. We used to do the old math. The 8-week math was divide by 52 times 8. Right now we're doing months because they like to switch back and forth between weeks and months. That makes it really interesting. But that's what you're going to take. If you're W-2, if you have W-2 wages, if you're an S-Corp or C-Corp, you take your W-2 wages, divide that by 12 times 2.5. That's what you can do. Okay. So really we're going to see how that all plays out. But ultimately you get 2.5 months of owner pay, but your time period for PPP is 24 weeks. So the idea, like I think the common thought with PPP and PUA when it was 8 weeks is, look, you're paying yourself for those 8 weeks. That's the point of PPP, right? Is to pay yourself and pay your employees for those 8 weeks if you plan on getting forgiveness for it. So most states said, well, it makes sense for you then to claim your PPP over that 8 weeks, or just don't claim PUA at all, right? But claim that money somehow into your unemployment. And in some cases, they're like, some states are so behind and so out of whack that people are claiming the money from PPP and they're still getting the full amount of their PUA. So it's a mess out there right now. And I'm curious to see if they end up doing any back end reckoning. I'm sure that they will once things calm down, once they start sorting things out. I'm curious to see if they come back to people for money or they look into some of these things. We don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. But right now it's a mess. You can't get a hold of your unemployment office. It's crazy. So it's hard to even know what to do, right? So in this case, if you're trying to claim over your 24-week period, right? Now with 8 weeks, that was basically, you had to pay yourself for those 8 weeks. Likely, right? So we have to claim it. Well, now over 24 weeks, you're only getting 2.5 months of pay. So it doesn't make sense to say, well, you can't certify PUA over 24 weeks, or even that you have to claim the whole thing over 24 weeks, right? Because it's only 2.5 months worth of pay that you can pay yourself as an owner. So here's my thing. Firstly, call your state unemployment office because states are going to differ. I've heard states telling people all kinds of things, and even the same states telling people different things. So, but as long as you call and do your due diligence and you document, hey, I called, here's what they told me, or hey, I called 16 times, no one picked up, and here's what I ended up deciding to do. If you have documentation of how you handled it to show that you considered it and you didn't try willfully to kind of double dip on anything, then I think you can take a reasonable approach. And what I would say is a reasonable approach to me at this point, without any further guidance, is that you could take PUA till maybe through the end of July, if that makes sense, or when you start ramping back up in work, right? Like once you're making money again, once you're working again, then technically you should stop taking it. Different states are going to differ as to exactly what that threshold is and when that changes. So again, that's something to ask your state about, right? But when you're no longer going to be taking PUA or no longer qualify for it, that can be a great time to start that 2.5 month time clock on your PPP. And I probably would, people said, can it be consecutive? I probably would say, look, I took PUA through this time period. Now I'm on PPP, right? Like, I think that would make more sense than like doing this weird carve up thing. You probably can't just claim all of PPP in one week because it is pay for 2.5 months. So to me, it makes sense to claim that over 2.5 months. However, here's what I'm going to tell you. There are some people on YouTube specifically. There are some CPAs that say, well, I don't think that PPP even matters for PUA. And the reason that they're saying that is because PPP is technically not taxable income. And so they're saying if it's not taxable income, then you don't have to claim it on unemployment. I think that's a little bit of a, I don't know. I think it's a little bit liberal of a interpretation because you're getting really technical. You're getting really technical and saying, well, it's not taxable income and therefore it's not income. But I don't think the states really care one way or another. I think they're going to see, okay, spirit of the program. And I had a friend, Bree's on here. She actually talked to an SBA rep and like, basically that was the answer is, look, the spirit of the program is you don't like get both at the same time. But now that it's longer, can you get, PUA for a little while and then PPP? Probably, right? Like that seems reasonable to me because they can't block you out for 24 weeks total when you're only getting 2.5 months worth of pay. That's less than half, right? Of that full 24 weeks. So that's kind of my long answer. That was a really long answer on what to do there. Okay, now let's talk about EIDL because people are talking about paying themselves with EIDL. I don't love the idea. You can pay yourself with the EIDL. I'm talking about the loan. All right. You can pay yourself with it. You shouldn't pay yourself more than what you normally would pay yourself, which gets it's not as hard lined as PPP, which is like take this number, divide by this times this. That's your amount. It's a little bit more like fluid, right? But it's just kind of like you shouldn't be profiting off of it, right? If you usually take $2,000 out of your business, don't take $10,000 out of your business this month with the EIDL funds. But theoretically, you can pay yourself with it. Why do I not like it? Because here's what I don't like. Here's what I don't like about that specifically. You're financing your own paycheck. You're financing, like you got to pay that back with interest. And it's a decent amount of interest. If you guys don't have my EIDL tracker, go get it because it's probably more interest than you think. balancecfo.com/EIDL tracker. You can track your EIDL expenses there and you can determine how much interest. But you are paying a loan to yourself. Like I think the best use of loan funds, if you're going to get them, is for operating expenses. Number one, it's easier to kind of show, yes, this is working capital, this is operating expenses in my business. I'm buying inventory with it. I'm paying, my typical contractors that I normally have with it. The better use of it is something in your business that's actually going to make you money. I don't mean expansion, because we know we can't do that, right? And I don't mean buying fixed assets. I just mean buying inventory, right? Then you sell that and you make money, or something like that, where you're actually going to be able to generate income, that getting the EIDL is going to help your business continue to run so that you can generate income to make more money to pay back that loan and have it make sense. I would rather you get PPP or PUA to pay yourself and use EIDL for operating expenses, or not get EIDL at all if you don't need it and you don't really have operating expenses. Okay. Now, some people are taking it and they're holding on to it kind of as an insurance policy, which is fine. Just make sure that you're really diligent about the usage of those funds. And if you really don't need it, pay it back in 6 to 12 months. And you're still going to have some interest on it, but I just think that's the best usage of it. Rather than we get the money and then we don't even really know where it goes. And now all of a sudden we got this big loan hanging over us for 30 years. Do not let this thing last 30 years. You guys come up with a plan to pay it off sooner. You don't want this kind of a loan hanging over you for that long. There are some restrictions on it that make it a little bit different than any other typical kind of loan. So that's what I would say. Okay, let me take some questions here. Okay, wait, Bree's here. So Bree is saying, all right, so hi. She said, based on the conversation with the SBA officer, you can be on unemployment and then pay yourself a PPP, but trying to double dip into both for the same time period, right, is against the spirit of the program. Unless your state forbids it, there's nothing in Treasury guidance that forbids it, but they're trying to put some wording in future guidance to specifically disallow. Yeah, so the question is, will they actually come out with guidance on it, or will it just be kind of one of those things that they decide that the interpretation is you can't do it and that you can still get in trouble for it? Ultimately, it's all of these decisions are very much on risk tolerance. So I had like somebody was like reaching out to me that saw a YouTube video of mine and was like very passionate that you could take both at the same time. And I was like, look, do it. If you are 100%, like if you are passionate about it and you feel like the risk is worth it, go for it. So much of accounting and taxes is your risk appetite, right? Like, what do you want to get audited? What are you going to do if you do? And you have fines and penalties that you got to pay back, right? I mean, you're probably not going to get thrown in jail probably under this stuff, unless you're just being egregious and going out and buying like, I mean, like, let's not go clubbing on this money, right? But I mean, I would just say, like, be diligent with it and you're probably okay. But you're responsible for knowing the rules as best you can. And also I think it's a good idea, like back to my documentation thing, right? They're going to have a hard time. If you called the SBA, you talk to a rep, which you can do. It's not as bad as your unemployment line. If you call the SBA and you say, hey, can I use these funds for this? And they're like, yes, right? Even if they're wrong, which we're getting answers all over the board on some of these things. Even if they're wrong, document, hey, I called this date. I talked to this person, if you can get their name, at least their first name. And this is what they told me. And so this is what I did. Documentation is so important here, because I do think that there's going to be a reconciling of this into like all of this, all these funds floating around so freely right now. They're just trying to get it out, but they don't have controls around the process. Eventually, they're going to have to put more oversight and controls into the process. And it's going to be a look back, right? So for some of you guys have really small loans, you're probably fine. I mean, I know somebody who was so concerned that they put like one employee or two employees instead of one employee on their EIDL. They're not going to throw you in jail for like an honest mistake, right? Because you put a contractor in there and they're trying to figure out how to cancel it and all of this. Like, it's going to be okay, but just don't be egregious about things, right? Like that's the best advice I can give you, and document what you can. I have no idea. And so the answer is document as if you're going to be, because you don't want to be in that position where you're like, I'm probably not going to get audited. And then you do, and you don't have any of the documentation to back it up. So just like with taxes, just assume like if you have it all tied together in a little bow and it's ready to go and it's no big deal. Here's what I spent the money on. Look, it's all documented here. Here are the receipts that I kept for those expenses. Here's when I called the SBA rep and asked him this question, and this is the answer that they gave me. You will be okay. If you do all of that, you're going to be okay. Isn't the SBA a grant? So there's two parts to the EIDL. There is a grant part and a loan part. The application that you do for the SBA EIDL is for both. So the advance is supposed to come first. In some instances, it's coming after. It keeps changing. It's bizarre that you get an advance after you get the actual loan. I don't know. They just keep changing it. But the advance/grant part is the one that's a grant. The rest is an actual loan over 30 years, 3.75% interest. It has a lot of stipulations. You're watching me from YouTube, go check out my YouTube videos. I have a couple on EIDL that talk all about the loan, go through the contract, tell you some of the places you need to watch out for. So before you sign anything, go check that out. Okay, what do you suggest for those who got the loan? If you have a service business, I don't have inventory, I don't have contractors, I don't have a lot of business expenses. So what should I do? So like I said, I think you can. If you're in a situation where you're like, man, I need to get some money because otherwise I'm going to have to rack up all my expenses on credit cards, or I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage or whatever. Okay. You can pay yourself with the EIDL. I would just try. I mean, I don't know who the lenders are that you haven't heard from. I know like Bluevine is doing them in like they seem to be, for a lot of people, just doing them super quick. So I would check out maybe some other of those fintech lenders. I don't know if PayPal or Square are still doing it. I think PayPal is. I don't know about Square. But some of those are actually like oftentimes within the same day. So before you start spending EIDL money to pay yourself, really try to find that PPP money, because it's forgivable, you guys. You can pay yourself 2.5 months worth of pay. Now, if you don't have much of a net profit on your, if you're a Schedule C filer, say, so you wouldn't really get much of a PPP, then go with PUA. I want to caution people about getting into a bunch of debt that they're not using to basically be able to continue their business, right? It's not really the best methodology to get money to pay yourself right now, because it's getting into debt and you're paying interest on that whole principal. So make sure to use the tracker so you know how much interest, because you're gonna have to pay that back. Remember? Let's see. Looking through. No, don't do that. I buy a house buy your house with a mortgage, not with the EIDL loan. It does need to be business expenses. Again, you can pay yourself what you normally would pay yourself. This is a really big question. And so I want to talk about this one for a second. This is a question I keep getting as well, which is, can you use EIDL to pay taxes? So in theory, taxes should be paid at a profit, because that's what you're taxed on. Right? So that's why it gets confusing when you're talking about, can you pay taxes with this? Same thing with think about sales tax. People have asked me, can I pay sales tax with this? Well, no, you're paying sales tax from the sales tax that you collected from your customers, because it's a pass-through. You collect sales tax from your customers if you sell products, and then you pay it to the state. So what you're really saying is, okay, I collected that sales tax, but I spent it somewhere else, right? And so now I want to pay my sales tax with the loan. But that doesn't really work as a source of funds. Again, it should be. Now, and people keep asking, can I back pay myself? I paid all these expenses personally and I want to reimburse myself. I think it gets a little sticky. And I think you could, but it's just the documentation wise. I think the easiest method to go on a lot of these things is just including taxes, because there is some debate around this, even accountants. I think it's probably fine to pay your taxes and document it, but some accountants and business lawyers would disagree with me and say you can't. I think it's just easiest, if you have operating expenses, pay your operating expenses with it. And then to the extent that frees up extra money, because remember, money's not purple and green, right? How do you know what money you're spending on what? It's just what you're tracking. It's just what you say you use the money on, right? Use additional money that you're maybe making in your business to pay yourself back, or to pay your federal taxes, or whatever. Because that money you're now using to pay your operating expenses has now hopefully freed up some additional money that you're making in your business to do other things that you normally would have used to pay operating expenses. You know what I mean? So I just think it's easier that way than trying to document that you loaned money to your business and now you're paying yourself back. And again, though, risk tolerance. So it's going to be on you. Call the SBA, talk to them, and then document if you really want to do it. Okay. Let's see. Good to know. Thank you, Kenna. Yes, PayPal is still taking applications. Great. I thought so. Let's see. All right. What do you think about the online banks, and should we use this type of account to open a separate account for EIDL? I do recommend a separate account for EIDL. For PPP, I actually think it's less necessary. Reason being, PPP is really short term, and especially now, because you could, especially if you're a sole proprietor or self-employed, you can use the whole thing to pay yourself. So you don't really need to do that. For EIDL though, right? Yeah, so I would, because I think it's easier to track it. People want to put it in interest bearing. You can if you want to. You're not getting a whole heck of a lot of interest right now, you guys. Sorry to say, interest rates are at an all-time low. It's not going to be near what you're paying in interest. So just FYI on that. But yes, I would open a new one. I use disallow.com. No fees, no minimums. Fully online. I love it. And you can open it like today online. It's super easy. So disallow.com, I'm not being paid for any of this. I just like it. They actually don't even have an affiliate. I've tried to contact them. I can't even get an affiliate link from them, but I really like them. So I talk about them. Okay. All right. Let's see. Sole prop. These long questions. All right. Sole prop applied for PPP and EIDL, got funded for PPP. Since I applied before my 2019 taxes, I was asked for gross receipts. Okay. But now finding out that my PPP, okay, is more. Yep. I've already paid out myself that amount. Can I count my home? Okay. All right. Couple of questions here. I don't think I see the whole thing, but I think I get the point. So some of you guys were overfunded. Banks, I mean, that's just true. Some of you, maybe you use independent contractors and then figured out, oh, wait, it's just supposed to be employees. Some of you guys were able to get it based on gross instead of net. It's really clear in the new Treasury guidance out there that forgiveness for owner pay is going to be based off of, it's going to be based off of your net, meaning net profit if you're Schedule C. Okay. So that's fine that you got more, and you can probably use it if you have other expenses to use it on, great. But if you choose 24 weeks, the max you're going to get is 2.5 months based on your net profit. So that might leave some extra that you would have to spend on rent, utilities, mortgage interest. So your second part of your question is a good one, and I wish I knew your name because it just shows up as Facebook user. But the second part of your question is a good one, which is, okay, so can I take deductions for business use of my home? Things like that. So it's going to probably be based on the bank because Treasury guidance sort of goes back and forth on it. And in one place, it seems to say, yeah, as long as you get a tax deduction for the thing, you can use it. And in other places, it seems to say, no, it's really meant more if you have like something outside of the house, like a warehouse or something like that, you're paying business rent on. I would check with your bank. And also, the better you document it, y'all might be realizing there's a theme this morning, right? And what do I mean? I think this is important. What do I mean by document? Write it down somewhere. Have it in a file. Write it on a Word file. Here's all the things I did. Save it out there with all your receipts or something like that, right? Preferably not like in a notebook that you're going to lose because this is something you would maybe need 3 years from now, right? But document it. So in this case, like document, here are my tax deductions from last year. Here's what I took. Here are the receipts. Here's how I came up with my percentage split between business and personal. The better documented, the better chance you're going to have for the banks to say yes. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. And I think that there is a misunderstanding that the banks are going to want to not allow these things. The banks don't want these loans. They're not making hardly anything on these loans. They would much rather be able to forgive them, like take their money from the SBA and be done with it. They don't want your 1% interest. For some of y'all, like you might end up with like a $500 that's not forgiven. They don't want that as a loan for 2 or 5 years on their books. They don't want that. So they are in a place where I think banks are going to want to give you forgiveness, but they're going to need you to give them a reason. Right? Like if you don't have things well documented, they're going to be more likely to say, okay, like we can't forgive that. But if you are saying, yes, these are, my expenses and you have everything buttoned up, way better. Importantly, I keep getting this question, so I'll address it. My PPP tracker. A lot of you guys downloaded the PPP tracker that myself Bree Beers and Kelly Vincent, 2 other CPAs, worked on, and you're waiting on an update. And I get that. I probably get like 20 of y'all asking every single day if there's a new one. It's coming, I promise. So it's been 1 week since they actually gave the new forgiveness applications. But the thing that's kind of holding it up is the fact that we have to now there's a new EZ form. Now you've got a choice between 8 and 24 weeks. So we're trying to make sure that everything is still working, and we're testing everything out and updating the calculations, but also there's just a little bit more complexity and a little more options that we're having to kind of build into the spreadsheet. We want to make sure that it works and we don't give you something that isn't working. So we're testing it out. I am hopeful to have something out by Friday. If you've already signed up for it, and this is again a PPP tracker, and it'll calculate it out. It'll fill out your application for you for forgiveness. Okay. And we're hoping to have it out by Friday. That is, I won't promise, but I hope. Because I've got to also redo the whole tutorial on it too, because there's been a decent number of changes. So if you're waiting on that, it will come. If you signed up for it before and you're still on my email list, you will get it automatically when it's ready. If you're not, balancecfo.com/PPP tracker, and it'll send you an email basically saying it's in the works right now, but you'll get it then when we have it ready. I promise we're working on it. It's kind of one of those perfect storm moments where there's about a million different things going on all at once. So we are trying to get it out as quickly as we can to y'all, because I know you are waiting on it. So it will be there. Okay. Let me see what else we got. Okay. Since EIDL docs state you cannot take an additional federal loans, what happens if the P4 possibly named? So from what I understand, because here's the thing, EIDL and PPP don't affect one another. They've said that that's fine. Regular PPP and EIDL. And that's whether you got EIDL first or PPP, like that, that doesn't impact each other. So I would imagine that if there is a second round of PPP, which what she's talking about is that there's discussions about a second round of PPP, that people could apply for a second PPP. If they show, I think like your business has to be down at least 50%, there's more stipulations to being able to get a second one than there is for this one. It's still in Congress. We don't know if anything's going to come of it. Maybe not. You know, I think somewhat depends on what happens in the world, or in the country to determine whether they're going to do anything else. But I would not expect that to impact EIDL. But of course, it's always good to check. Okay, is there a clarification on what 24 weeks needs to be used for? Okay, yes. So still, okay. So covered period now, you have a choice, 8 weeks, 24 weeks. Now you only have a choice if you got it before June 5th. I think it's June 5th. If you got your PPP after June 5th, it's automatically 24. You don't have to elect it. I get that question a lot. Do I need to tell somebody I'm going to use 24? No, only when you apply for forgiveness do you need to tell them which period you're using. It starts just like the 8 weeks. The covered period starts when you get the money. Meaning if you have employees, right, your averaging takes place for your average FTE, your average full-time equivalent count is either over 8 weeks starting when you get the loan or over 24 weeks starting when you get the loan. There's a little bit of flex on payroll periods. Not going to get into that today. Watch some of my other lives where I talk about that. But ultimately, it starts essentially when you get the money, right? You can't like wait to start your 24 weeks 3 months from now. But again, like I said earlier, if you're just paying yourself, right? If it's just yourself, or if you're talking about owner pay, you don't have to spread that owner pay over 24 weeks. It's only 2.5 months worth of pay, right? So in theory, I would think you could kind of wait for owner pay. But employee pay gets a little bit more complicated because of the FTE calculations. I'm not going to get into safe harbor, but I'm going to do a video specifically about safe harbor, you guys, what is safe harbor? Safe harbor basically just means it's a way to get forgiveness if your FTE count and your average hourly salary wage by employee is essentially back to pre-COVID levels by a particular time, and that time changes. It's either the end of your covered period or when you apply for forgiveness or December 31st. All of those kind of play in. I'm going to do a separate video on safe harbor, but basically that means you don't have to worry about getting your loan forgiveness reduced because of what happened during the covered period if by basically the end of the covered period or when you apply for forgiveness, you're back to pre-COVID levels. So it gets really complex in the calculation, unfortunately. But I'm going to do a separate video just on safe harbor because I don't want to go down. If I go down the safe harbor road, we're here for another 30 minutes. But suffice it to say, if you can get safe harbor, you also likely can use the EZ form to apply, which is what you guys want to be doing. You want to target all of that. And go back. I did a live last Wednesday. If you guys have more questions on safe harbor and all of that, I talked more about it last Wednesday when the new rules came out. You can go find my live. It'll be on my YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest place to find it. It's the live from whatever 7 days ago was. 17th, June 17th. Okay. Waiting on the updated tracker. It's coming. I promise. I promise. If we took the loan without understanding everything, you just, EIDL, I assume? Yes. So there are two ways to pay EIDL. The most common that they're sending people to is pay.gov. Unfortunately, you can't really see your account balance anywhere right now. I'm thinking that will come later once they kind of get their act together with all of this. But right now, if you want to know the amount of interest that's accrued to the penny, you have to call them and ask right before you pay it off, or you can pay off a portion of it. Again, you can use my tracker, balancecfo.com/EIDL tracker to see, to estimate out your interest. But if you are going to pay it off, I would call. Or you could pay off a portion of it, right? If you want to reduce the interest, that kind of thing. So you can do that. There's no prepayment penalties at all, just maybe a little bit of accrued interest for however long you've held the loan. In some ways, they're giving people, I think, an address to also send it to, but I think that might be just the advance or grant, which I don't know why you would, some people are returning the grant. I don't know why you would do that. And here's why I'll say that. I know that if you got PPP and you got the EIDL grant, right? Your grant amount, and this is the amount that was free, this is the $1,000 per employee that you got, will be subtracted off of whatever your PPP forgiveness is. So when they calculate PPP forgiveness, you get $20,000 in forgiveness, but you got a $1,000 EIDL advance, they'll subtract that out. So some people are like, well, I don't want that, so I need to return the money. Well, it's kind of all it's doing is neutralizing that 1,000, right? It's just saying, okay, you got this free money, so we're going to take it off of this. It's just, it doesn't, returning it might even get more complicated because I wonder, they still might accidentally subtract out the advance. If that's you, I would just hang on to it. And if you're worried about, you don't want it to become a loan over PPP terms, right? 1% interest is pretty low interest loan for 2 to 5 years, right? If you don't want that though, if you're like, I don't want the debt, then just hang on to it and don't spend it. And then when you apply for forgiveness, you can give it back. The reason I also say don't have a fury about giving it back is we know how quickly things change. And there are people who are now kind of kicking themselves, and thankfully there's still money left so they can get it, but kicking themselves a little bit for returning PPP money earlier because now they've changed the rules and made it better for them. And it would have been actually a good deal. Now they're having to go through the whole rigmarole of getting it again. Know that rules are changing. Is it possible that they just say, you know what, we're not going to deal with subtracting all these EIDL advances and we're just going to blanket forgive it and just don't worry about it? Yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? Probably not. But is it possible? Yeah. So you don't want to kick yourself for giving this money back. And then they're like, oh, you get to keep it. You don't have to actually subtract it from your PPP forgiveness. And then you're like that person that's sitting there like, oh no, but I gave it back, right? So I would just hang on. You're not accruing interest on that part on the grant because it is a grant. So I would just hang on to it right now. Just hang on to it. Don't spend it. Put it in a separate account if you're worried about spending it. Okay. Let's see. Okay. PPP received more than payroll. So I will use towards rent to be totally forgiven. I'm a roommate and pay them, not a rental company. As long as there's a paper trail, I don't know. So here's where it gets tricky. They're going to want to see your rent agreement. And because they need to validate that rent agreement was enforced before February 15th, because new rent agreements don't count. So you could, again, because banks are like, please let us forgive these loans, right? They want these forgiven. If it's well documented, you have a better chance. That's what I'm going to say to so many of these questions is document and try, okay? Okay. Amanda accidentally counted 24 of her ICs as employees. Yep. So you got 10K. Applying for PPP. I'd like to use PPP to pay myself and EIDL money for operating expenses. Should I give it a try or give back? So yeah, this happened to a lot of people. So I think it depends on you. You can wait and see if they say, hey, guys, give these back if you know you got too much money. I don't know. Are they going to come back and ask you for it? Probably not. Probably not. But I mean, if you're getting PPP anyway, and it's going to be reduced off the PPP, it's kind of a moot point because it's going to get paid back one way or another, right? So I think it's less of an issue if you're getting PPP because that EIDL grant is going to be subtracted off your forgiveness anyway. So I don't really think you need to go through like giving it back because it's already going to have, you're basically going to be giving it back through that process. Okay. Can a C-Corp use easy for, I don't know why not. You could if you meet the qualifications. So there are 3 different qualifications that you can meet to use the easy forgiveness form. If you meet those, then yeah, I mean, you probably could. Okay. So you received the loan amount, but did not receive the grant amount. That's been a while. Call the SBA disaster line. Just, I used to know it ends in 2955. I can't remember the full number. They actually, what was funny aside on this, I've written that number enough times that they actually called me because I opted to decline my EIDL loan, which they are calling people right now. So if you're getting calls, they want to move you to the next kind of queue, right? But I opted that I don't need the loan. I don't want to take on debt right now. And so they called me, and I normally don't pick up numbers I don't know, but I recognized the number that showed up, and I was like, oh, the SBA is calling me. I've written this number out 100,000 times, which was kind of funny. And then I got to pepper him with 17,000 questions that he was not prepared to answer. He didn't know who he was calling. But I would call. There's a chance you didn't check the box. Is there? Maybe? Do you know if you checked the box on the application? Because that's one thing that has happened is if people didn't check the box, they don't get the advance. The advance will be separate from your loan. People ask that question too. Is the advance, if you get the loan offer first, is the advance somehow in there? No, that's all a separate loan. That will be, you will have to pay back. The advance comes separately, but check with them and make sure you check the box and then see if they had any issues maybe with your banking account information. But if you got the loan, I don't know why you wouldn't get the advance. So I would call. Let's see. I have a whole YouTube video on what EIDL can be used for. Credit cards is another one of these issues. Okay. So it's like taxes where you're going to get different answers from different CPAs. Here's where I've come to on credit cards. And when I talked to the SBA rep, I asked this question and he said, credit card payoff is not the official use. Like if you're tracking your usage, which you should be of EIDL funds, you wouldn't write paid off credit card, $5,000, right? Instead, what you would write there is the actual expense from your credit card that you paid off, right? So inventory purchases in February of X, right? So I think as long as the thing that you bought with the credit card is a working capital type expense, a regular operating expense in your business. And then I would add to that to say, like, even better if it is related to the time frame of like COVID, right? So like February on-ish. You're probably fine, right? If there are expenses from like October of last year that are working capital, I mean, if you can make the argument that you would have paid it off, like maybe all your income typically comes in June and you had no income this time, like maybe you could make the argument, but it gets a little bit harder, right? Now, if you're buying fixed assets, which are not allowed, right, then no, you can't. So if you bought something that's a fixed asset, you bought a new piece of machinery on your credit card, you can't pay it off. So you got to look at what the underlying expenses are and when they relate to, and really try to kind of delve into that. But you would actually write down the actual thing you bought, not just like paid off my credit card, right? Okay, I'm going to be here for just a couple more minutes. Let's see. So if you got PPP after June 5th, it automatically defaults to 5 years. This is the one change, though, that is not automatic for people that had it previously. So the 24 weeks you can automatically get. The other changes are automatically, you get them. It does not automatically update your loan term because you have a paper loan that says 2 years. Now, it does say within there you can renegotiate with your bank. Doesn't mean that the bank is going to do that, but they allow for that. So maybe when you apply for forgiveness, if there's any amount that is not forgiven, at that point is when you could say, hey, I would prefer this to be the 5-year term instead of the 2-year term. And you might have luck doing that. Probably depends on the bank, but you would have to, that's the one that's not automatic. Since the SBA capped the EIDL loans at 150, will there be an opportunity to get more funds? I don't know. They have like the Main Street lending program as well. If you're looking for something like, I think the minimum for that is $1 million. I don't follow that piece a lot because most of the businesses that I work with would not be getting $1 million loan, though some of you could. So you might want to look into that loan program. There are other 7A type loan programs that are SBA loans that are used for different things that you might be able to get. I don't know what their plan is as far as like increasing or anything like that. We're just going to have to wait and see. I like this question. This is a great, what's a fixed asset? Yes. So a fixed asset is a thing you own. So come join firstly. Shameless plug, you guys. Financial Fitness Basics. My course, balancecfo.com/basics. Above me, if you're on Facebook, below me, if you're on YouTube. I talk about that and some other things with it. A fixed asset is the thing that you own. It's typically a thing. Oftentimes it actually ends up getting like depreciated. So there's different accounting treatment with a fixed asset. But anyway, it's machinery, it's equipment, it is maybe computers, but a lot of times computers, depending on how much they cost, don't necessarily follow the same rules. So what the IRS usually uses is like a $2,000 de minimis threshold. So if it's under $2,000, even if it's a fixed asset, so if you bought a computer for $1,500, you can basically take that expense all up front instead of taking it over time. Again, this gets a little bit into detail, but check out my basics course because I talk about it in there. And I talk about it a little bit better than I am here with slides and guides and stuff. But ultimately, a fixed asset is just a piece of something that usually is going to garner you a return over a period of time, right? So like you buy a piece of machinery and that's going to help you make money for several years, right? So it's something that has a longer life to it that you don't use up in your business all right away. Okay, you're welcome, Kenna. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, again, try out like Bluevine or PayPal or some of those fintechs because they're super quick. So, in a lot of cases they are, not all cases, but it's weird that you would be stalling out on anything because most of the banks have gotten their processes really pretty good. So if you're not hearing anything, then you can, but you also are at risk of getting multi-funded, which has happened to people. So be careful. Yay! Actually, it's $179, Bree. It's even cheaper. It's $179 today. Today is last day. Then it goes up to $279. Get in. Thanks. I swear I don't pay her. She's just a friend. Okay, let's see. You don't have to notify anybody. It is something that you do when you apply for forgiveness. So no notification. You're welcome, Sonia. So this gets complicated. If you have employees, it gets complicated with waiting to use your money because it totally depends on your situation. And this goes into that safe harbor conversation that I was talking about. So if you don't bring your employees back right away, it's going to reduce your FTE count over the average period. And then you might not apply for might not qualify for full forgiveness. But if you meet safe harbor, you would. There's a lot that goes behind this. So I'm going to do a full video just on that. But if you have employees, it does get a little bit more difficult if you're trying to plan to delay the money. Anywho, okay, let's see. Yeah, so sometimes, oops, whoops, wrong one. Yeah, I don't know who you are, Facebook user. But I'm excited. Go, y'all, if y'all are signing up, balancecfo.com/basics. I'm going to see how many more. Let's see how many. Oh, we just had like, okay, y'all are killing it over here. So we just had six. Let me see how quickly I can do math. 24 of you just signed up while we've been on this live. Okay. While we've been on this live, 24 of y'all just signed up. I'm going to see who you are. So if you want to sign up, I'll say your name here in a minute. Denise, Gailey, Daniela, Rigoberto. That is an awesome name. Sonia. Hey, Sonia. Bridge, Amanda, Tara, Jaria, Zarissa, Kimberly. Is this all right? Wait, this is my subscriptions. Hang on. Hold, please. Because some of those are just subscribers. Okay, so what I meant was Tara, Zarissa, Kimberly, Sarah, Charista, Melanie, Lai, L-A-I, Erica, Alexia, Cassandra, Ruzel, Arlenette, Alan, Judy, Christina, Rachel, Jeanette, Tracy, Nikki, Jamie, Rebecca, Nicole, Brittany, Ariana, and Casey. I think I gave more than 24. I don't know. But yeah, keep signing up, y'all, because it's going to be awesome. And today's the last day. And yes, so I'm using StreamYard, balancecfo.com/StreamYard, and you can get $10 off. I have so many links, everybody. I need to make a document of all of my links. Okay, I'm coming up on my 1 hour. Okay, one last question I'm going to take. If you select the full 24-week forgiveness, do you have to keep your FTE the entire time? So this goes back to the safe harbor question. The answer is no, as long as you meet safe harbor. If you don't, then you will look at the FTE average over the full 24 weeks and compare that to your pre-COVID average. If it's less, you could asterisk, have your forgiveness reduced. But my PPP tracker is what you want to use to help you determine if that's something that you're at risk of, which is coming out soon. I promise. I promise. Probably yes, as long as it's normal marketing that you would do anyway, right? Like if you're starting like a whole new campaign and you've never done marketing before, like maybe not, but yeah. No. So my course talks about, like, if you're thinking about QuickBooks, or talks about other softwares or different ways that you can track. I even have a spreadsheet that I give you to be able to track your expenses if you don't want to use QuickBooks. The bonus is the only thing. It's a QuickBooks online live workshop with Courtney Boudet. You do not need to have QuickBooks to get the full value of the course, because that's actually outside of the course itself. I don't really talk much about QuickBooks within the course itself, but I know that that's something that is really, I get a lot of questions about it. So I wanted to have this bonus to offer to anybody that does use it or is thinking about it or wants to get set up on it, because she's going to go over the setup process too for QuickBooks. That we offer this. But no, you don't need to have QuickBooks at all. My off the shoulders getting a little. I do. We're working on it. My website is getting updated right now, and it'll have all the links to all the freebies and all the things, because I have so many links. So the banks are approving really easy. Well, I mean, I think because they've streamlined their processes. Really, I mean, when this all came out, it was brand new. They had no idea what to do, and now they've kind of it's been a couple of months. They've got a process. Yeah. So let's see. Okay. No, but I know some people that do. So Bree, who is answering all your questions right now, I don't know what her availability is for new clients right now, but she's amazing. She's one of my preferred vendors. So you should go chat with Bree if you still need tax prep right now. That's my girl. So Bree Beers is her name. She has her own, Bree Beers and Associates is her company. Okay, I am going to be done. Y'all keep signing up, because I love watching the signups. Now we're at just about just a little over 100 more people and I get to this stretch goal, and that will make me like, I will have champagne and it will make me forget the last 3 months. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are awesome. I will be back later, and keep letting me know if you have questions. The best place to ask them. First, search the Facebook group because there are a lot of resources out there, and I do get a lot of repeat questions. So I know it's a little bit crazy, and there's a video on even how to search the Facebook group because it does get hard to search. Sometimes there's a lot of content, but the Facebook group is the best place to ask me questions, financial literacy for women business owners. If you can't find an answer from somebody else's question, you can submit a post. And I'm trying to answer the majority of posts. I've had to dial back a little bit just because I want to get this PPP tracker out to you guys. So I've had to dial back a little bit in my answers, but I'm trying to answer as many as I can. Okay. I'll see. And here, this is from Bree. Message from Bree. They're taking new clients, but it'll be an extension, which is fine. She'll file the extension for you. Free consults. And yeah, so that's Bree's tax prep answer. So go check her out. Okay, over my hour. Bye, guys. Y'all are awesome. I'm going to go drink some more coffee because it's going to be a long day.